Hello there. Welcome back. My name is Lightworker Whit, and I'm so excited to get into your full moon lunar eclipse reading in Pisces this September 2025. Now, I'm going to use another spread by Biddy Tarot. You guys know that I like her spreads. This is by Liz Worth, apparently. It's a simple 4 card spread. I want to keep it real simple today. All right, now I don't know. My dog is being kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with her. I feel like I'm sorry. I'm saying that because she's just like, kind of like silently whining on the floor, just staring at me, but I don't know what she wants. I feel like she's being like greedy lately, but I feel like maybe it's something else. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't tell. So if I'm distracted, that's why. Anyway, the spread is: what kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? How am I ready to evolve? What must I listen to at this time? And what can I consciously let go of? That's our spread, but I'm going to be using a Queen of the Moon Oracle deck. I like to use that for all of our lunar cycles here to get an overall theme of this full moon lunar eclipse for the Lightworker Whit collective, okay? And maybe if you're new here, that includes you too, even if you're a first-time visitor. Let's just see what you are attracting, okay? What is the overall theme of this full moon, please, Spirit, for the collective? Fear. Okay. Wasn't expecting that one, but I accept it. 11. Okay, let's see. The time for courage is here. Fear is only useful if it teaches you something. You must examine whether your fears are old or new, useful or unhelpful. Fear blocks flow. The affirmation is, I am courageous. If there is one thing that stops people from fulfilling their dreams or even getting things done that they want done, it is fear. Experiencing fear is built in, a chemical part of the way our brain works to protect us. Emotions such as fear cause the production of a whole raft of body chemicals that give us the best chance of coping with situations that need our attention to survive. There is a healthy kind of fear, the kind that warns us to keep out of a dangerous situation or stay clear of someone who instinctively makes us weary. However, it would be a rare person who does not have at least one fear that does not serve them, a fear that is unrealistic or untrue, or perhaps based on an outmoded experience or something that is buried so deeply we only see the symptoms rather than the fear itself. Most fears have been formed with the positive intent of protection. We need to separate that intention out and deal with it in a more resourceful and less destructive way if we are to create ease and flow in our lives. Fear has many names. Covert ones are envy, jealousy, codependence, procrastination, bullying, people-pleasing, disconnection. More overt ones are avoidance, fear of failure, or fear of success. There is, however, a kind of antidote to fear, and it is courage. Fear will put up an initial resistance to courage, but it has no real long-term power against it. While we can be fearful and courageous at the same time, and I think courage contains a mighty big dose of fear, we can choose to face that fear and flow through it until we fear less and then eventually become fearless. The process isn't always grateful. It isn't always impressive because it may be slow and deliberate steps we take. Taking these steps isn't always easy, an understatement. It isn't always apparent to others, so it should be about us measuring how far we have come and not worrying about what anyone else thinks. Comparison is useless. Courage is powerful no matter what form it takes. The companion stone is aquamarine. I do not have that crystal, but that's okay, and I'm going to show it to you one more time. Yeah. And I've been trying to avoid like lunar eclipse content because I really want my own reading to be its own. I have really been like scrolling past the eclipse content because I know I hadn't done my reading yet. So from little things I am getting, a lot of people, as expected, are like, oh, this full moon is gonna like be life changing. It's bringing in a whole new you. Da 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 da. Maybe. I mean, it is a full moon in Pisces, and Pisces is the end of the zodiac, so it's a culmination, really, in more ways than one. Full moons already represent completions to things, especially because we had a new moon New Moon in Pisces would have been actually I think around the 28th. And I remember because there's a influencer, or it's not really an influencer, just another astrology content creator. He's also a comedian. You've probably seen him. He's got like that blonde hair, and he always like does kind of like skits about the different signs, like the different signs of vacation or the different signs, knowing that you're lying or something. It's like funny, but he did this thing where he posted about like a new moon ritual that he did, when it's in a water sign, and how you put 2 cups of water and like what your drink, like something you're grateful for currently, and stick that on a cup. And then, but then I don't remember how you do it, but you pour that into something you want to see manifested, and then you drink that. So I actually did that for the new moon in Pisces around the 28th of February. And at the time, I had a certain number of YouTube Lightkeeper members, and I knew that I wanted that number to grow to a different number. I'm not telling you what it was, but that's just kind of like what one of the manifestations. I have 2 manifestations specifically. So I'm very curious if I will see a completion or a manifestation of the things I manifested at this time. I'll try to link the video that guy said. I'll try to link it if I can find it in the video. But anyway, so it's number 1, bringing a culmination to things that have transpired over the last 6 months. And it's also bringing a culmination to, I think, things that we've been experiencing probably for quite a long time, since we've probably had a full moon in Aries, a full moon lunar eclipse. And, well, let me see. I don't know. I'm not gonna try to unpack it astrologically. I'm not gonna try to unpack it astrologically. I'm not gonna go that deep. So we're experiencing a lot of change. Saturn is also back in Pisces now, so that's fun. We got a lot of change astrologically happening. So I want to start with Pisces, all right, because it is in your sign, and I always do you guys last. So I really want to be intentional about it. So I'm going to go ahead and get your cards together, and then I will start. Pisces, this is super interesting because there's like 3 court cards, and if you don't know what that means, the court cards are just the like the people in the tarot, the kings, the queens, the knights, the pages. You've got 3 court cards. 3 out of 4 cards are court cards. So it does often represent people, but it can also be embodying the energy of these court cards. I hope that makes sense. So let's go ahead and start with what kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released. We have the Queen of Wands. Now, when I look at these spreads, I consider released in terms of let go, but I also look at released in terms of what you're putting out in the world, okay? Now, we've got the Queen of Wands here. The Queen of Wands does represent the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It also represents someone who's very charismatic, someone who's very spontaneous, someone who's very alluring. She's able to manifest and create her own world. Now, for me, this would be connected to a fire sign that maybe you're letting go. Or also to Pisces, somebody who you feel potentially outshines you, or maybe goes out of their way to outshine you. That's coming through here. There's also a message here that if you feel like you've been dimming your light to let others shine, that is also a pattern that's breaking. No longer being apologetic for being you, wanting to show up, wanting to glow up, wanting to be the light. And also too, your power. You as a Pisces, you're so intuitive. I heard someone talk about how Pisces are like trauma counselors, and I was like, oh yes, they are. In like spiritually, yes, they are trauma counselors. And I think that you're ready to break out. It's not that you're ready to break out of that role and not like be there for others, but you're ready to like really be seen for more than just what you can do for people. Ooh, that's good. Thank you, Spirit. Ready to be seen for more than what you can do for the people in your life. Does that make sense? Especially if you feel like you've been flying under the radar. All right, how are you ready to evolve? We've got the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands, again, does represent the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, potentially masculine energy here. But the Knight of Wands is also about being very passionate, being very driven. You're ready to accomplish something. You're ready to prove yourself. You're ready to like gas yourself up and go for it. Now, what's interesting is I described this in a different video before, that the Knight of Wands is different from the the Knight of Swords, because the Knight of Swords acts quickly. sometimes impulsively, but they're fast. The Knight of Wands isn't always fast, but they're like eager. They're coming through with that drive, right? With that power. Not quite like the Knight of Cups because they're less emotional. They're less compassionate. They don't really care about your feelings. They want to get a job fucking done, right? Different from the Knight of Pentacles because they're definitely not too slow. They don't want to belabor a plan. They want to kind of operate off of inspired action and go with what feels right. There's a little bit of a mix of intuition and bravado mixed, for the Knight of Wands. They know that their plan might be wrong, but they don't care. They just need to get to work. They're like, I don't really care. The Knight of Wands wants to fail fast. They want to get to work and see what doesn't work so they can get to what works faster. Does that make sense? Whereas, I'm not going to compare. You guys get what I'm trying to say. So what I mean by that in terms of how you're ready to evolve, I think this is really important because Pisces are not traditionally people who are very action-oriented. And I'm not trying to say you're lazy, but Pisces are very much ruled by their feelings. And also, I don't even want to say feelings. That's a little bit more Cancer. Pisces are very much ruled by what feels in alignment with them. They don't do anything that doesn't feel in alignment with them, And I think for you, you're stepping out of that and wanting to get into a more action-oriented space where maybe something doesn't feel aligned, but you're moving forward anyway because it just makes sense and you want to see yourself push closer to your goals. You may have always been waiting for alignment, but now you're kind of like, you know what? I'm not sure if this is aligned for me or not, but I'm going to go for it in this direction anyway. Does that make sense? You're allowing the intuition to take a little bit of a backseat and allowing the action-oriented nature come to the front. Now, it's not to say that your intuition is irrelevant or it doesn't matter, but you're not giving it so much of a say anymore. I just think you're ready, and I'm saying all this to say because I think, Pisces, you're ready to see action in your life. You're ready to see progression. You're ready to see change. And you know that you've got to make some moves in order to do that. You can't always wait for the stars to align. All right. What must I listen to at this time? This is what she must listen to. We've got the Knight of Cups, water sign energy, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. This could be a water sign in your life, but the Knight of Cups is typically a love interest. It's somebody, it doesn't always have to be, but it's someone who is generally very compassionate, very emotional, very sensitive to others, like very acutely aware of others' feelings and like what they're experiencing. The Knight of Wands offer love, whereas the Knight of Cups offer love. The Knight of Wands, they offer action, they offer passion, whereas the Knight of Cups offer love, offer emotional safety, emotional compassion. They want you to feel good. The Knight of Cups is also very much focused on like the beauty of things. They want things to feel good, look good. It's almost like Libra energy a little bit. So this could be a love interest in your life, Pisces. But if this is related to you in terms of what you must listen to at this time, for me, this is about listening to doing what feels right to you. And I know I just said your intuition is taking a little bit of a back seat, but what I mean by that is like if you've been in a career that you've hated for like 10 years, you're finally like, you know what, I am going to pursue being an artist. But you're pursuing that with tenacity, right? But you're allowing your true nature, your true feelings to be seen and be heard and be recognized. I hope that's making sense. Listening to what you really wanting to do, but actually, and like what actually feels good to you and feel like emotionally fills your cup, while also putting the energy behind that to get it done and achieve those goals. I hope that's making sense. What can you consciously let go of? The Six of Pentacles. Now, first thing I saw when I saw this was letting go of needing help. Six of Pentacles is typically about giving and receiving energy. Now, for me, this is about you needing anyone's help. It's about you needing anybody's help. Don't feel like you need anyone's help anymore, Pisces. And I'm not saying you'll never need anybody's help ever again in your life, but I think I don't know what you've been going through, but I think you're tired of maybe needing someone's help or needing someone else to support you or needing to rely on other people. You're letting that go because I think you're just, again, like ready to take care of yourself, ready to let yourself shine, ready to step out of someone's shadow, not being afraid of failure anymore, just ready to, again, fail fast, regardless of the consequences. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I'm gonna pause here so I can move on to Aquarius. But listen to your moon and your rising well. I do these for sun signs, but listen to your moon and your rising as well so that you can get a 360 view of how this full moon lunar eclipse is going to go for you, Pisces. I love you so much. See you next time. So Pisces, I had to go back to your reading because as I went through everybody else, and I was nervous that I would do this because sometimes I'm like, I just want to be fast. I just want to like not spend all fucking day on the readings. But I pulled all these clarifying cards for everybody else. I was like, I gotta go back and do Pisces because I didn't do that for you. So I did use some decks that I didn't use for everybody else though. So going back to the Queen of Wands, what karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released. I stand by coming out of your shell, coming out of the shadows, but we also quite literally got break the chain for you. Quite literally. Ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. I love rewriting the future, especially because the Queen of Wands is that. She is magic. She is a manifester. So I love that you're what feels like unearthing that gift or bringing it more to the surface. How you're ready to evolve, the Knight of Wands. I wanted to use 2 cards from the Essential Oil deck. These 2 came out. First one is Clove. Trigger statement to release. Why did this happen to me? So instead of being worried about why and what was me, instead we're embracing how did this happen for me, right? How did this push you into your power? Know that you are the star of your life. Because what did I say? What did I say? Know that you are the star of your life, my dear. You are the lead and the audience is here for you. Period. Period. I didn't actually read these before I started recording. I just said, okay, those are my 2, and I kept. Okay, we also got Vetiver, which is a root chakra energy. Trigger statement to release. I need to escape. Okay, which for you is not unlikely. Okay, maybe it's because you're a dreamer and you just feel like, oh, I don't want to be here in this reality. I hate it. Instead, let's embrace being present. I am present. The root of the issue for you will make itself known. Be open to the information you receive from your body, mind, and environment. Okay. Now, going back to the Knight of Cups in terms of what you must listen to at this time. I know I gave you a lot of interpretations for the Knight of Cups, but we also have I Feel You Leaving Me Behind. I wanted to use the Hidden Truth Tarot for that one. So there may be a love interest for you that like you know or can sense, or again, like I said, a water sign or somebody very compassionate, very loving towards you, maybe feeling like you're leaving them behind. But you know what, Pisces, honestly, that's not your problem. That's not your problem. Either they're going to cheer you on or they're going to sulk that they can't run that race with you. You know? That's how I see it. 6 of Pentacles. What can you consciously let go of? I wanted to use a career and finance card, so we got Justice here. Something in your life needs to be brought into alignment. The 6 of Pentacles really is about balance, giving and receiving. Okay. Your career may be in law, such as police, military, in the courts, or criminal justice. Be sure to be honest and ethical in money matters, or you'll face the consequences. Okay, that's a good message too. So going back to what you can let go of. For me, the initial message I got when I saw this card was like, if you're having to pay a lot of legal fees for something, that felt like something that you're going to be done with. I don't know if that connects, but that feels like something that you're about to be able to wrap up, okay, under this full moon. All right, I hope that was helpful. Okay, now I'm really done. Aquarius, this is very interesting for you. I did pull a lot of Kipper cards for you just because I wanted to clarify quite a lot here. So just to start, what kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? We have the Chariot. The chariot does represent the sign of Cancer in case that is important to you or Cancer is important in your life. It also represents drive, willpower, and determination, looking to the future. I personally, as a tarot reader, also look at the chariot as moving locations and also something to do with transportation or car. Okay. Now, you know, in relation to the position of this spread, what's ready to be released, this is very like future focused. For me, this is like ready to leave the past behind. I also kind of got this sense that like with this spread, like maybe you felt a little stuck. Now, remember, you're a fixed sign. So I feel like this is generally intuitively what I'm picking up. I feel like Aquarius, you have been fixated on a plan that you put into place, but you're recognizing that for whatever reason, the plan that you really needed to work or you really wanted to work isn't working anymore. So now you're just like, you know what, scrapping it, balling it up, throwing it out, moving forward. You're no longer trying to make fetch happen, right? I want to pull a card from this. Okay, I don't use this deck all the time. It's ready to be released for Aquarius. Okay, we have two cards. Inner Temple, Devotion, tune into the portal of your heart, and it fell right on the chariot too. Inner Temple, Devotion. Okay. Maybe also consider that, like what your devotional practice looks like spiritually. Then Lemuria, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. Love that for you. Like you're just like ready. Like you're ready to really look to the future to accomplish your goals, and like that drive is like next level. I look at release in terms of what have you let go, and also what are you putting out in the world. You're tapping into a drive that is so next level, Aquarius, that like you're like coming in like a bulldozer is what I feel like. People are not, or maybe not a bulldozer. That's not how I want to see. You ever been driving? I was driving last night, and like you're on the highway, and sometimes people are just going so fast they like come out of fucking nowhere, and you just kind of like, whoa. I kind of feel like that's you. You're the car just coming out of nowhere, just weaving. Like you know where the fuck you're going. You're seeing all the obstacles, avoiding the law. Okay, let's move on. How you are ready to evolve. We have the Death card here, which is typically about endings and transformations, rebirth and new beginnings. It also represents the sign of Scorpio in case that is important here. But in short, this is the card of evolution, quite literally. You're ready to change, you're ready to evolve. Now I wanted to know in what way, and then we got the card Journey. There seems to be around this full moon eclipse that there is a trip that is significant. Maybe you're taking a life-changing trip. Maybe, again, you're ready to move, you're ready to change locations, you're ready to change your actual like living circumstances. But this again is also like I said, also represents to me sometimes transportation, some sort of trip. Again, I just kind of feel this energy that you've been stagnant for a while. I also got a message that felt like if you haven't really traveled much, Aquarius, you're also like wanting to like explore and take some trips. You're wanting to see what's out there. You feel like you're wanting to go on your eat, pray, love journey a little bit. I did also get the main male card along with the Death card. So maybe there's a significant relationship with a man that you want to end. This could be romantic, but it could also be business, platonic, or familial. Okay. Wanting to move on. Maybe some of you guys want to move away from like your dad if you live with your dad. Maybe you want to move out of the house with a partner. Wanting to end and move on from a relationship with a man. All right. What must you listen to at this time? Now we got the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups does represent options, fantasizing, overwhelmed by like all the things that you're like considering. Do I want to focus on money or love or health or cars and material things and whatever? Like trying to figure out what you want to manifest, what you want to focus on. Now, for me, in the position of what you must listen to at this time, this for me is like remembering that you have a lot of options available to you. And I was like, okay, well, in what regard, in what area of their life. And then I got great fortune. Now for me, looking at this, like what must you listen to at this time? This to me is telling me that there's multiple ways for you to generate wealth for yourself. You just need to be aware of them. Okay. What can you consciously let go of? Now I got the Page of Cups here. Page of Wands, which is fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, in case that's important to you. The Page of Wands is also about freedom and exploration and creativity, needing to express yourself. Now, I wanted to clarify that as well. I'm like, okay, why would Aquarius be letting go of this? For me, the pages are very young, so maybe we're letting go of a little bit of an immaturity. Maybe we're letting go of an exploratory phase in your life in some way. And that could be manifested in a couple ways. Like this could be that maybe you're ending a exploratory phase of dating. Maybe you've taken the time to date a lot of different people and now you're like, okay, I really actually like this type of person. I want to focus on that. This could also be career-wise. Maybe you're done focusing on what you want to do professionally. Now you're locked in. However, I did get these Kipper cards. We have Mature Woman that came out first. Maybe this again is in relation to maybe an older woman, or maybe it's about you maturing, because like I said, this is about the pages that are typically immature. And then also community. Okay. I don't want to sit here and say that you're letting go of community, because we all need community. To me, there's a send-off happening. To me, there's a send-off. There's a send-off happening, Aquarius. Like, maybe even too, Aquarius, maybe you've got a young one moving out of the house. Maybe you've got someone who's ready to grow up. Or ready to be on their own if you're a mom. Again, yeah, if you are, that's resonating a little bit. If you're a mother, maybe this is about you stepping back a little bit and letting your child gain some independence. But if this is related to you specifically, what you can let go of, I feel like I really am kind of stuck on a send off here. It's almost like a bird being released. Like you've done your job, like you've done what you needed to do, and now you can be free to do your own thing. It's not that you're not going to have the support of your community or your people, but like, I just feel like whatever you were doing the past 6 months, Aquarius, it may have felt very like rigid or very like there was minimal room for growth, but now I feel like you're ready to get the fuck out there and lock in. You may have also been tied down by obligation to family. Maybe you were with family who was sick and like needing to help out. And now with this eclipse, you're like, okay, I've done my part. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to go. That was definitely me last year, last eclipse season. Like once the new moon came, I was like, all right, bye y'all. I went back to Jersey. Okay, so there's a lot of evolution here, but for me, it's all pointing towards you headed towards a new life. It feels like you might have been even derailed from your goals. And now you're ready to kind of, whatever derailed you, you're ready to be like, okay, I'm done with that. And let's get back on track, you know? Let me know if any of this is connecting. If you're watching for your sun sign, watch for your moon and your rising as well. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to move on to Capricorn. All right, Capricorn. Okay, I pulled a number of like clarifying cards for you. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? We've got the Queen of Cups. Now, I look at released in terms of what is released out into the world, but also released as in what is being let go. And the Queen of Cups does represent the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. So there could be a water sign that you are ready to release or, let go of. The Queen of Cups is also someone who's very compassionate, very nurturing, very emotionally available, able to hold space, very intuitive as well. Now, in the imagery of this card, she's pregnant. So I do sense that maybe some Capricorns are pregnant, or at least maybe also ready to give birth. But that's a reach. I mean, women of all zodiac signs everywhere, are possibly able to give birth. So if that resonates, it resonates. But that's, I don't think that's something specific to Capricorn. um, However, there are some times, like, astrologically, where some people like sync up, they try to conceive under certain astrological placements. So if that's something that you want, like if you want more children, maybe you are ready for conception, maybe you're ready to try, you know what I'm saying? Like you're ready to try for a second child or a first child or a third, whatever. Um, there also might be some karmic energy around your mother that you're ready to let go of. Now, in terms of the clarifying card, I got in Rama, where are you being called to journey to? Definitely look this up and do some of your own research. This is kind of one of these spiritual locations talked about in the spiritual community. I don't do too much deep work on it, so look it up if it connects to you. There is an emphasis on journey, though, about about needing to travel or potentially move on. I'll get back to that. How are you ready to evolve? Eight of Pentacles. This is really interesting. And I'm not, if I'm being really honest, I'll let you make your own inferences here, because the Eight of Pentacles is typically about mastery, dedication, perfectionism, sometimes also juggling a lot of things. But the Eight of Pentacles is like very hardworking, but they want to be the best. They don't want to be just good. They want to be the best at what they do. I heard one time that a professional practices till they never get it. An amateur practices until they get it right. A professional practices until they never get it wrong. And maybe that's connecting to you at some time, but Capricorns are generally very hardworking. So that's why I was just kind of like, I don't know exactly how this might connect to each and every Capricorn. I don't know if this is a message about you needing to let go of perfectionism, or if this is about you ready to step into a greater level of mastery on a subject matter. So that's why I'm like, you make your inferences there, okay? What must you listen to at this time? We've got the Eight of Cups, which is about walking away, needing time alone, needing to isolate, especially if you've been emotionally investing in something that just isn't serving you. Now, I was like, okay, well, what would this be for Capricorn? So I wanted to get a card from the Healing Heart Journey. And of course, the Journey card falls out, which is basically the same thing. Kick them to the curb, take a new direction, walk away if you need to. So then my question was, I'm like, well, okay, but in what area of their life? Are they walking away from a relationship? Are they walking away from school? Are they walking away from a job? Like, what's going on? I got gift. Okay, that fell out. Now, here's how I'm interpreting this, Capricorn. You may receive a gift of some kind that allows you to walk away from something or someone. However, I don't feel this is celebratory. It's great for you. It's bad for someone else. Does that make sense? So this could manifest in a way where you're given a financial gift to focus on your studies, focus on school. This could be a financial gift where you're finally able to leave a toxic relationship. This could be that you're given a gift of finally getting a car, but then maybe that means you have to leave a certain town. It's some sort of gift is allowing you to walk away from something you've been tolerating. Yes, that's good. All right. What can you consciously let go of? We got the Page of Swords. And I was like, okay. Page of Swords does represent the air signs, in case that connects to you, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. It also is someone who's like a researcher. They gather information, very communicative. I also feel like that one of the messages here is that you need to stop over explaining yourself, Capricorn. You're just constantly over explaining yourself. And I just feel like there's a relationship in your life where you need to feel validated enough to stop doing that. You get to feel what you feel without needing to explain why you feel what you feel. I mean, I think it's important in relationships. Yes, I do. But I feel like there's an over explanation in an area of your life happening here. Like an example could be, maybe you've been over explaining why you don't want to get a master's degree. And someone's like, well, I just don't understand. Like, that's the only way you're, like, somebody in your life is like, well, like psychology, right? Maybe you're trying to go for psychology, and I understand from a lot of my clients that you can't really do much with a bachelor's in psychology. You've got to go to master's, and you got to get, you need a master's degree specifically. So maybe people in your life like, I don't understand. Why don't you just go back to school? Why don't you just learn? Why don't you just do this? And you're kind of just like, I don't think I need to do that because X, Y, and Z. And you've been explaining this again and again and again and again. And now you're just at a point like where you get to say, you know what? I've said enough to you why I'm not doing this. You need to just accept my answer, you know? So that message is coming through. Maybe there is a message here of needing to walk away from school if any of you guys are in school. I hope that's not the message, but maybe some of you guys need to take a break. I'm not sure. All right, now I wanted to clarify this Page of Swords, and I got a card from my Essential Oil deck. Solar plexus energy here, trigger statement to release. I am right. Page of Swords would definitely feel like they're right without really knowing they're right. Just based off of like one Google search, they think they have the answers and they might not because they don't have the experience. True statement to embrace. I am open to the unknown. You are being shown what is dissonant in your life. Allow the beliefs that are not serving you to fall away and be open to your bright future. What's clear for me, Capricorn, is that there's a new lane opening up for you. One that is being created by a gift that is being given to you. And it may also involve maybe you've got a special gift or a special talent. That could be a message as well. But I want it to be very clear that you don't have to over-explain why you're making the choices that you're doing. I want you to feel validated with what you're doing without needing to over-explain. This could also be a message that, like, in terms of what you can let go of, maybe you've done a lot of research for this journey that you want to take. Maybe now time for the research is done and now it's just time to walk away and move on. And it's time to serve yourself. The Queen of Cups, when reversed, I don't use reversals in this deck, but it can be about needing to pour back into yourself, pour your own cup, you know? Okay, I've said a lot. Consider this. If you're watching for your sun sign, watch for your moon and your rising as well. And this does feel a little bittersweet. This full moon feels a little bittersweet for you, but I think what's ahead of you is far more exciting than what you're letting go of. I hope that makes sense. Love you, Capricorn. All right, Sagittarius. Now, what kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? For you, we have the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords, move you back up. The Seven of Swords is typically about escapism, deception, running away, trying to hide things. Now for me, I don't want to say I feel maybe you're done being a version of yourself you don't like. Maybe you're done like hiding your true self. Kind of very similar to Pisces energy here, ready to come, like whereas I told Pisces I think they're ready to come out of their shell and kind of shine. I feel like you're tired of like hiding who you really are, hiding how you really feel. Maybe you've been lying to someone about something in your life. And you're just ready to stop hiding. You're ready to stop hiding something or... Now, if that is not connecting to you, this could manifest in a couple ways. Maybe there's an ancestral pattern of cheating or infidelity. Maybe that's ready to be released. Maybe there's an ancestral pattern of like lying, like deception, like that's ready to be, like maybe you just want to be more upfront in your life about things. The Seven of Swords, I often refer to as strategy. So maybe you want to be more strategic about how you move through the world. Okay, with maybe wanting to move forward with more of a plan and not being so kind of like go with the flow, you know, because you recognize that you need a plan to like achieve certain things in your life. How you're ready to evolve is the Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles represents need and hardship. Now, I thought this was really interesting. I'm looking over here because my dog is just being weird today. I don't know what's up with her. She's being weird. I don't know if she's hot or what. The Five of Pentacles represents need. So if you are struggling financially, I would say that this is about you evolving beyond this. But for me, this was kind of deeper. Like, I feel like if you've been feeling stuck or stagnant, Sagittarius, that there's a reason why you're not evolving. So I wanted to actually get a card from the Spirit Animal Oracle, and I have Let Spirit Be Your Guide. Now, some people, I'm just going to put this out here. You connect to it in any way that you can. Some people feel like when they're not following God or when they're not going to church, and I've kind of wrestled with this a little bit in my Christian spirituality walk, that you wonder if like life is falling apart because you're not going to church or because you're not in the Word, you're not in community or whatever. And I kind of feel like there's a little bit of that going on here. Like maybe you feel like you're in dire straits because you're not connected with God or Source. And that's what I want to talk about here, because with this card specifically coming up, Let Spirit Be Your Guide, I don't think it's about, I can only speak for myself and what I feel the experience. I don't believe that you not going to church is the reason why your life is a mess. If you feel like your life is a mess or not going how you want it to. I do, however, feel that you need to be more aware of the ways God, Source, Spirit is trying to connect with you, because that's really the message here. Like, this message is about God trying to give you signs, symbols, and help, and you're just missing them. You're just missing them because you're maybe a little bit too focused on what's not going right in your life, that you're missing the help. You know that classic story of like somebody was drowning and they're calling out to God, and like a plane comes, a boat comes, a dolphin, I don't fucking know. And every time he's like, no, God got me. And then he dies, and then God is like, I sent you 3 motherfucking, missing. I'm fucking up that story bad, but I feel like you're missing the avenues for help. And I think that's how you're ready to evolve, being a little bit more tuned in spiritually to how you can transform your situation if you feel like you've been neglected, or especially in financial hardship. Okay. Now, what you must listen to at this time is the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles does represent the earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, in case that's important to you. But this is also about discipline and hardworking energy, like being very dedicated. I just feel like there's this energy here of you wanting to like be more dedicated to something, be more committed to something. This isn't always a relationship. This could be a career. Again, maybe you've always tried to take shortcuts, and now you're just like, I'm going to lock in and I'm going to do this step by step. But again, like I said, earth sign could be helpful to you. Maybe they're giving sound wisdom to you in your life, or someone who maybe has already achieved some level of success that you can look to as a mentor. What you can consciously let go of is death. The death card does represent the sign of Scorpio, in case that's important to you. And I think there's a couple messages here. The death card represents endings and transformations and new beginnings. For me, maybe you have just cheated death, and maybe you had a near-death experience recently, Sagittarius, and you're just kind of like, okay, I want to turn my life around and I want to improve some things in my life, right? They gave you a little bit of a wake-up call. Maybe there's somebody that is near the end of their life, and maybe you're kind of like bracing for that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the bad health card is here to clarify the death card. Now, for me, this could also represent you wanting to clean up your health, wanting to maybe end unhealthy ways in your life, drinking, eating, gambling, addictions, whatever. Not that that's really more like the devil, but still, I'm throwing it in here. You're wanting a healthier lifestyle, I feel like. But I also think you're just ready to transform. You're ready to let go of your old self, because I think you recognize your old self wasn't healthy mentally, emotionally, physically. Does that make sense? You're truly wanting to make a transformation, Sagittarius, but I think you just recognize you can't do it by yourself. You need to lean into spirit, to source, tap in, develop a spiritual practice, whatever that looks like to you. And wanting to live more authentically. You're truly wanting to live more authentically. But I think you recognize in order for you to do that, you have to get a little bit more rigid. I hate to use the word rigid. You've got a little bit more structured about how you operate your life. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope that's helpful. If you're watching for your sun sign, watch for your moon and your rising as well. I'm going to stop here so I can move on to Scorpio. This is very good for you, Scorpio. Okay, so first things first, what's ready to be released karmically, ancestrally? We have the Eight of Wands. Now, the Eight of Wands typically represents quick action, sometimes also getting carried away, sometimes infatuation, moving very fast. This could also be related to travel as well. However, how I am interpreting it and how I've been seeing it a little bit more lately is a message around needing to be reactive. And so in terms of what is being released, now I look at release in terms of what's being put out in the world and also what's being let go. Sure, there's a message here of like maybe if things have felt stagnant, maybe things will start to pick up. That could be a message here. But I'm looking at like you needing to be reactive to things. And what I mean by that is like, someone who's living a reactive life is always like just dealing with the thing in front of them. They're never like planning ahead for the future. They're never like prepared for unexpected life circumstances, right? So you've just been like in this reactive state. I gotta do with this, I gotta do with that, I gotta do with this, I gotta do that. Everything's kind of been coming at you. And I feel like that's ready to be released. You're ready to like kind of stop that reactive energy and just kind of like be prepared for some shit. I hope that's making sense on a general level. And also like being a little bit more intentional about things and not maybe also I started to say maybe not being as impulsive, but it's not really the message of the Eight of Wands. We could take this message quite literally with maybe like you're done running away from your issues. Maybe we're ready to do some healing. Maybe we're ready to do some therapy. Right? How you are ready to evolve. Okay? Six of Pentacles here. Now, the Six of Pentacles typically represents giving and receiving, and I wanted to understand exactly how Spirit means this card. Because it could manifest in a couple ways. I'm like, well, okay, what do you mean by that? Is Scorpio ready to receive help? Because I know you guys are typically very closed off. You don't like asking for help. But I got the Judgment card to clarify, which is typically like answering for your sins, if you will, Judgment Day. Needing to, finally receive judgment on how you've been behaving and acting thus far. So I actually feel like in terms of how you're ready to evolve, I actually think the message is about you being less selfish. Now, don't get me wrong. I think everybody needs to be selfish to a certain extent. But I want you to ask yourself, are there ways that I've been more selfish lately? And if so, why? Because I don't want you to think that you didn't have a good reason. And maybe if you have been selfish and maybe you've lost friendships or had to cut people off because of it, it is likely because they didn't really know the extent of your circumstances or your situation. So just consider that. I'm not saying you have to explain anything to anybody, but again, kind of going back to that thing of like being reactive, maybe you've had to be selfish because you've been having to be so reactive to your life circumstances. For example, maybe you can't help their friend out with their rent because you're trying to figure out selfishly how you're going to get your car note paid, right? And so maybe think people have started to begin to get this like selfish vibe from you, but they don't really know what you've been dealing with. Right? But I think you're ready to let that go. I think your life, and not that I have anything here that confirms that, but I just feel that your life is stabilizing a bit or at least going to. And you'll see also too the benefit of being selfless, even when you don't have it, What must you listen to at this time? We've got the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords is winning at all costs, competition, doing whatever it takes to get ahead, to succeed by any means necessary. Wanted to confirm that as well. I was like, okay, well, I like that we have this here because the Five of Swords is very, in my opinion, a very resilient card. It's like you're not going down without a fight. But I wanted to know in relation to what? And we have the Despair card. Now, the Despair card is like, you see that not hiring sign in the back. The dog is hungry, Lord. Whenever I see this, I feel like this is related to work. Maybe you're experiencing some challenges and conflicts at work. But for me, this would be a confirmation to fight through this. This would be a message to persevere and push through anyway. Don't give up. Don't quit. This is definitely non-quitting energy. Okay, yes, your circumstances is hard, but it's not going to break you. Okay, especially if you're looking for a job. Don't give up. What can you consciously let go of? We've got the Five of Cups here. Grief, sadness, loss, loneliness. Okay, that's great. I'm happy to see that we're kind of coming out of this space. Now, I wanted to clarify, okay, well, why is Scorpio sad? We've got the challenges card here from my Healing Heart journey. Feeling overwhelmed, being needy and holding on. Take one day at a time. Now, maybe there's a relationship or a connection you're still grieving. I think you're finally ready to move on from it. Especially if you've been holding on. That kind of resonated for me. I feel like, Scorpio, you've been holding on to something or someone. But I think and that has been creating overwhelm, especially if you have an anxious attachment style. Anxious attachment people tend to hold on because they convince themselves that there's not going to be somebody better for them. That's not true. Okay. I think you're ready to let go of the grief. And it's not what I understand about grief, and have personally experienced in grief in different ways, not necessarily grief of a loved one, but when you're dealing with grief, especially loss of relationships, it's not that it hurts any less. It just hurts less frequently, you know? So I think you're kind of ready to evolve beyond that low point, and you're ready to kind of like fight for your life, for your happiness. I think you've been in a low place, and I don't think people have really been aware of what you're fighting through or what you're fighting for. But I feel that you're ready to fight for your happiness, truly. I hope that's helpful. Look for your moon and your rising as well if you're watching for your sun sign. And that's all I have, Scorpio. Watch for your moon and your rising so you can get a 360 view of this full moon eclipse for you, okay? All right. All right, Libra, here we go. All right. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? Now, we've got the Three of Cups for you. Now, the Three of Cups represents community, friendships, family, people who are close to you. Sometimes the Three of Cups is like, imagine like a wine night, people coming over to like kiki, spend time together. And also like just pouring into relationships, right? Now, I look at released in terms of what are we releasing out into the world and also what are we letting go. I wanted to clarify this here because, of course, we all need community. And so from my Work Your Light Oracle, I kid you not, and of course it's so fitting, we got Sisterhood of the Rose. So beauty, devotion, priestess, mystic, teacher. But I also am paying attention to like sisterhood. Like there's a community there's a group of people I think you're ready to either break free from or get involved with. There might be a combination of both. There might be a swapping out happening here, like recognizing that you don't want to hang out with your friends who like smoke and get high and drink all the time, and maybe wanting to get with a community of people who are evolving. Now, the other message here is soul family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. Okay. I think in terms of what's being released, I think you're letting go of relationships that don't serve you anymore. And these could have been relationships that were meant to come into your life. I feel like your reading feels very tied to like life path a little bit. I feel like these friendships, especially if you're feeling like you're evolving beyond them, were meant to come into your life to challenge you, to make you see and realize and recognize you want better and more for yourself. I do feel like it took you a long time to realize that. All right, how you're ready to evolve. We've got Seven of Cups, which is options, considering choices, like you having choice, having like, what do I want to focus on? What do I want to engage with? What's best for me, right? Sometimes also a manifesting option. Sometimes this could also be head in the clouds energy. But in terms of looking at this card of how you're ready to evolve is a little tricky. Maybe you're evolving in a way where you're expanding your horizons and seeing what is available to you. Maybe you've been focused like on a one-track mind of like you just always felt like I'm going to focus on this and this is what I'm going to do and whatever. But now maybe now you're like, oh, I could also maybe do this and that and have this and have that. You're considering your options in a way that you haven't before. That is a form of evolution, being more open to things. That is a form of evolution because some people are just kind of locked into how they've always been, how they've always done things. But of course, I wanted to clarify. So we have unbound, which I thought is what would come up to clarify the Three of Cups, but it's actually what came up for the Seven of Cups. All right, so releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. That's kind of why I said I feel like your reading feels a little bit more tied to life path. I think, I'm being so serious, Libra, I think you've kind of passed the test. You know, there's this conversation, if you're not really aware of this, I'll try to really water it down. But there's like this belief, of course, that we're brought into this world and we make these soul contracts of the people we're going to meet, the relationships we're going to have, the challenges we're going to experience, to test our spirit, to evolve our spirit, right? And if you believe in reincarnation, then you believe that, you know, this isn't the first time for you on this earth. I'm a life path number 9. I am certain that I'm an old soul. Very certain. So I don't believe that I'm a new soul or that anyway, we're not going to dig into that. We're not going to dig into that. So with that being said, I feel for you and how you're ready to evolve. You're ready to release and let go of the things that no longer serve you and allowing yourself to open yourself up to possibility in ways that you haven't before. But you needed to get rid of dead weight. You need to get rid of the beliefs that have been placed upon you. You needed to get rid of the relationships that were holding you back. And you're doing that this full moon. You're doing it. I feel like you're graduating. What must you listen to at this time? 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is a big happy family. So there is a connection here still to your family that maybe is guiding you, is kind of your North Star, if you will. Maybe you have your own family, but maybe you also have, you know, your immediate family, mom, siblings, whatever, who are pouring in wisdom into your life. But also, too, the 10 of Cups, just separate from family and relationships, represents dreams come true. So if something has presented itself to you that feels too good to be true, it's not. You can trust it. Okay? What can you consciously let go of? We've got the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is air sign energy, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. But also it is about moving quickly. Especially if Libra, if you've been feeling like you've had to like move really quickly or move at a really rapid pace to get something done, now you can let that go. Now you can kind of like move a little bit more slowly, move a little bit more closer to the Knight of Pentacles, a little bit more disciplined without having to like be so like on the go. We also have the message card to clarify that. So maybe you're going to get a message from an air sign, a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. You could also receive a message that maybe you've been waiting on in order to take off. Does that make sense? Waiting for maybe literally take off, and maybe also metaphorically. There's a message that you will receive around this full moon. Now remember, full moons are powerful 3 days before and 3 days afterwards. So there's going to be a significant message here that you're going to receive that I feel like will kind of lock in for you your new path. You know, if you're still kind of in this state of like, oh, I don't know, like kind of just, again, deciding what you want to focus on. If you're kind of like, well, I like this and I like that and I don't know. There's going to be a message you receive that's going to firmly be like, all right, that path is shut down. I'm almost seeing like, I don't know why Spirit is showing this to me, but what I'm seeing is like an underground like bunker. I don't know if anybody has ever watched The 100, and maybe this is making me think about The 100 a little bit. And there's this underground, like season 2 is, I think, them like in this underground bunker. And I'm seeing like one hallway, the lights being completely shut down where you can only go that way. Does that make sense? So like you're being quite noticeably redirected. I hope that's helpful. I really do. If you're watching for your sun sign, watch for your moon and your rising as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop here so I can move on to Virgo. Okay. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released, Virgo? We've got the Knight of Pentacles here, which does, of course, represent the earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. It also represents someone who is very hardworking, very diligent, very dedicated. They've been laying the foundation for their future so that they can retire comfortably. I love that this is here because literally the next card is how are you ready to evolve? The King of Pentacles. You have quite literally evolved. Okay, we have graduated out of the Knight of Pentacles to somebody who's just hustling, just trying to make it, just trying to be consistent, to somebody who has actually created that life, created the abundance. Okay, they've upgraded their suits, they've upgraded their watch, their hard work has paid off. So this full moon lunar eclipse is advancing you to the next level so that you're truly, it's not even that like something magical happens where like you're reaping the benefits of like all this stuff. It's that like it's just that you kind of like look around and you're just like, oh, I did it. Does that make sense? Okay. What must you listen to at this time? We've got the Seven of Cups, which is options, choices, fantasy, sometimes head in the clouds energy. This card has been coming up for a lot of the signs. But I think this is more about, actually, let me stop here before I say. I wanted to clarify this, and I got share your voice. This is come out of the cave, persecution expression. Now remember, this is in terms of what must you listen to at this time. As a Virgo, it is no secret that Virgos tend to be very analytical, very judgmental, very much in their head, not only about themselves, but also others. So I actually think that this is a message, Virgo, for you to listen to your inner voice, because I think the image, I pay attention to the imagery as well as the messages, right? I think this is more about you need to listen to your inner voice. Don't get caught up with what everybody else is thinking, what everybody else is saying. You've already built the fucking life you wanted. So don't really worry about the naysayers. What is your inner voice telling you? What is bringing you true happiness? And are you being honest with yourself and expressing that instead of holding back? So what must you listen to? Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your truth. Don't get caught up with everybody else's truth. I hope that's making sense to you in whatever way that you're trying to build your life. What can you consciously let go of? Had a little confusion here because we got the Ace of Pentacles. Now, maybe potentially for some of you, the Ace of Pentacles typically represents an opportunity. Now I wanted to know, I'm like, well, okay, is Virgo letting go of an opportunity, or are they accepting an opportunity? Because the Ace of Pentacles is something that has room to grow and evolve, right? So I was like, okay, let me see. Next card out was the Ace of Wands, new passions, new beginnings, a flame that's being sparked. So I was like, okay, this seems to me that they're taking something, like they're taking on something that's passionate to them, as starting something new. And then we, of course, have privileged lady. All right, so for me, Virgo, first of all, your money's up. So we love that. Second of all, if you've been presented with an opportunity to advance, you are likely taking it to advance your status. And so in terms of what are we letting go of, I would take this as we're letting go of potentially poverty, potentially lack, but simply because new opportunities are coming into your awareness and you're taking them. This isn't always financial. This could manifest in other ways. Maybe money is not a concern to you at all, but there's a fresh start. Maybe there's a new business endeavor that gives you more new purpose. Maybe there's a new relationship that allows you to feel taken care of, you know? I love this full moon for you, Pisces. I truly don't have anything else to say. No notes, except for listen to your inner voice, trust your inner truth, try not to get overwhelmed by the inner critic in you. Okay, I love you so much. You're gonna have a lovely full moon. Watch for your moon and your rising as well. Okay, Virgo. Leo child, I probably pull more cards for us than I have anybody else, but I had to figure it out. I had to figure it out. What I'm like, how? Let's go. Let's go ahead. Okay. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? We've got the Knight of Swords. Now, I look at released in terms of what is being put out in the world and also what are you calling in. The Knight of Swords does represent the air signs, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. It also represents moving very quickly, also advancing, ready to like move forward with tenacity and like ambition, but like quick, fast moving ambition, right? So, I just think in general you're an ambitious person. So for me, this could be a person that we're releasing, Knight of Swords. But what I thought was interesting to clarify was trust your path. Okay. Now, mind you, this is someone taking flight literally. And it's if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? And I think maybe the message here is Leo in terms of what's being released. I am looking at this of like maybe what's being put out in the world is that you're taking flight in a new direction. Okay. But this could also be, again, like I said, letting go of someone, particularly maybe without someone. Trust your path. Okay. I am really hearing the take flight of it all. I am really hearing the take flight. Okay. All right. How are you? This is what really got me this position. How are you ready to evolve? I was like, okay, the world. Now, I've already done my personal full moon reading yesterday because I knew I was like, I need to do mine before I do Leo's. So, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a Leo. So I like to do mine first so I don't crash out over the collective Leo reading. And I got the world in my reading multiple times. The world represents major accomplishments, successful achievements, chapters closing. It is quite literally the card that you want to see when you are ready to evolve. This represents you've hit a major milestone, especially something you've been putting a lot of work into. So I was like, okay, what is this for Leo? Now I get the marriage card. Now, the marriage card could represent maybe things, maybe hitting a successful achievement within your marriage if you are partnered. But the marriage card is also about romantic connections, yes, but also business partnerships and unions and sometimes also contracts. Okay. Uh, yeah. Now, I wanted to go a little step further because I'm thinking about the Leos in my life and I'm like, okay, I see it, but like, can we be more specific? So I actually put these back, but they came out again in a different deck. So I got the Hangman a couple times. The Hangman does represent needing to change your perspective, stalling. This could represent something or someone in your life that has kind of been stalling or who has been kind of stagnant or motionless, trying to reevaluate their life maybe. And we've got the Two of Swords. I feel like Leo, you've been dealing with somebody who's been very indecisive, somebody who's been very like unsure of like how they want to move forward. For me, this would suggest that they're finally kind of coming to a place where like, okay, you know how you're moving forward with something or someone. I kept asking him, like, is this an accomplishment or an ending? The death card did come out. The death card does represent Scorpio. It also represents transformations, new beginnings. It also represents, did I say it's Scorpio? It also could point to something that has already ended. Because again, we're dealing with this Hangman energy, this Two of Swords energy, somebody maybe who's been indecisive. If you've been dealing with somebody, like maybe you're not sure if your marriage was going to move forward, I feel like this full moon is like, you're going to know by the end of this full moon. Now, if I had to put money on it, Leo, if you've been unsure about things in your marriage, I would say that this relationship is moving forward, even if it was temporarily on pause. Okay. So we got the Hangman here again. Okay. We also have Ace of Cups and Ace of Wands. There's a new beginning that you're experiencing. Ace of Cups is new emotions. Ace of Wands is new passions. There's a spark being put back into the connection. There's a cup ready to be filled, right? I would say it feels like we're starting over. It feels like a do-over, right? To me, not that we're erasing the past, but we're starting anew. I'll tell you more why. And then what you must listen to at this time, we have the Wheel of Fortune. I was like, okay, love to see that. This was also a card that came up in my personal forecast as well. The Wheel of Fortune is divine timing, good luck, good karma, sometimes also a windfall of money. And in terms of like what we must listen to, I think this is about like what to be aware of, Leo. So the first cards, these came out together, community and pathway. So emphasis on a path here. You're being like redirected, Leo. Like I don't know how to explain it, but kind of the way I saw it was like almost like a wheel, a gear, a huge gear turning, like completely like redirecting and realigning your life, right? But it relates to community. So you're not like going on this path alone. I think either these people close to you in your life are pushing you in the right direction, or you're taking these people with you. You're not going down this path alone. This feels a little bit celebratory, or it feels like alignment. The back deck energy was Wheel of Fortune, and it just felt like that connected to, or excuse me, sudden wealth, which to me connected to the Wheel of Fortune. So I do think you could be expecting money around this full moon. Lastly, what can you consciously let go of? Nine of Swords, praise. I'm never usually happy to see this card, but in this position I am, because this lets me know that we're letting go of the worry, the fear, the doubt, the insecurities, the insomnia. I said, okay, Spirit, confirm it. Why are we letting this go? We've got rest and peace. First of all, period, rest in peace. Now you can rest in peace, especially if something has been causing you anxiety. But we also have buried emotions, let yourself move on, grieve and let go. Now to me, everybody's situation is going to be so different, because I'm sure that there's going to be some connections out here where like your relationship is ending and you have to move on, and it is what it is. However, I feel like you can let go of, like, if you've started to pre-grieve a relationship, I feel like you're actually letting that go. Does that make sense? Like if you were anticipating, oh my God, we're not going to make it. I'm just like, you're just bracing yourself for like the end of like a relationship. I feel like you no longer have to do that, because again, you're choosing maybe to start over with this person. Are some people relationships not going to make it? Yes, of course. But this is you and me here talking, okay? I'm really, listen, I don't want to be delusion. I don't want to feed you delusions. Where is my romance deck? For shits and giggles, let's see what comes out of this. I'm also just trying to think of like people who are married. If your relationship was on the rocks, if there was something that like was stressing you out, maybe even just as a couple, it feels like you're moving past it. Maybe even two, this is a reach, but maybe you and your person are moving beyond a miscarriage, or moving beyond a lose the death of a child. I hate to say it, but maybe. I don't have like the Six of Cups or anything here, but it doesn't mean that can't be relevant. Can you just please clarify anything Leo needs to look? This will be the one. Let me not feed you delusions. What does Leo need to know, please, around this full moon in their relationships? What does Leo need to know? If we get the separation card, I swear to God. Okay, 3 cards fell out. Okay, 3 cards. Here we go. True love. This is the romance of a lifetime. Keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations, and make the effort. The great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. You let that resonate however you need it to, Leo. I think you're starting over with someone and putting the past, letting bygones be bygones. But you come back and let me know. Okay? I love you so much. Let's move on to Cancer. All right, Cancer. Your reading was a little difficult, but hopefully I'll get some more clarity as I go. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? We have the Queen of Cups here. The Queen of Cups does represent the water signs, which you are, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. So there is possibly a releasing of a water sign. Now, I look at release in terms of what are you releasing out into the world, and also what are you calling in. Now, released as in letting go. So what are you putting out, but also what are you letting go? Now, the energy of the Queen of Cups is somebody who's very compassionate, a nurturer, not only to others, but also needing to nurture herself in the reverse position, right? I don't use reversals in the Street Priestess Tarot, but I'm just giving you that information for your knowledge. I can't really sit here and be like, oh, you're releasing the need to nurture everyone. That's like who you are, Cancer, so that's never going to, I don't think that's the message here. The confirmation card that I got is trust the niggle. Now, the Queen of Cups is highly intuitive, okay? What is your niggling feeling trying to tell you? And this is like basically, what is that little thought in your back of your mind that won't let go? Like what is that little whisper saying, right? And for me, this would be to act on that intuitive thought. It is likely spirit trying to help you. You meditate on whatever that is. Something that's kind of just, I have learned long ago, if something's kind of eating at me, if something's kind of like, and it's usually, especially when it's like very gentle, very soft, it's just like, I don't know if I should go to that store today. And you might dismiss it, oh, whatever, I go there all the time, it's fine. And that'd be the day that all hell breaks loose at that store. Or something like, it's usually very gentle. And it's easy to ignore, but it's spirit trying to help you. Okay? Trust that little intuitive thought. Again, this could be related to a water sign, maybe in connection to your mother, potentially in connection to children as she is pregnant in this card. Maybe is there an intuitive a thought that you have around your children, if you have any? I mean, patterns, if we're looking at this in terms of patterns, I might look at this as terms of over giving, over nurturing. Are you giving more than you're getting in your relationships? That might be a pattern you need to break with the Queen of Cups here. How are you ready to evolve? We've got the Queen of Wands. Your reading is very similar to Pisces, where you have like all these fucking court cards. All right. Queen of Wands, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is somebody who's very charismatic, very outgoing, very much like the life of the party. You're ready to evolve into this, like, if you think about a party, let's think about a party. Thank you, Spirit. If you're at a party, there's always this one girl who's crying in the corner with her best friend, and you're always the person who's consoling that person crying. Most likely fucking Pisces, okay? You're always consoling that person. But you're like, you know what? Fuck that. I want to be the bitch that's having a good time. I want to be that bitch that's like, having fun playing flip cup. God damn it. I don't want to be in the corner anymore taking care of everybody. You're ready to evolve into this person. Your reading's very similar to Pisces, actually. Very, very similar. Very, very similar. You want to evolve into this shining star. You don't always want to be responsible for everybody anymore. Now, as I was shuffling, the Hierophant did come out, so this could be in relation to a Taurus, in case that's important to you, Cancer. The Hierophant represents spiritual teachers, also spiritual enlightenment for yourself. This also represents higher learning, education, institutions, organizations, okay? So they're often connected to churches, universities, hospitals, that sort of thing. We have the adjudication card. So this is often about needing to resolve some sort of issues between one or two parties. And then the Four of Pentacles, which represents security. I think you're taking a risk here for me. You're taking a risk of doing something your own way, because I feel like you've been in this place of like doing what feels secure for the longest time. Could the message be that you're choosing to become more secure? Sure, but it's not really what the Queen of Wands gives to me. The Queen of Wands is spunky. She's spontaneous. She's like fiery, passionate. I feel like you're bored, Cancer. You're bored. You want to make a change. Okay. What must you listen to at this time? Page of Swords. Now, the Page of Swords does represent the air signs Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, in case there's an air sign important to you. The pages typically are people who are younger, but it can be any air sign, okay? The Page of Swords also represents people who research, they study, they're very knowledgeable. They're not an expert subject matter yet, but they are willing to gather and find the information. So when I'm looking at this in terms of what you need to listen to at this time, you need to listen to the facts. Whatever change you want to make in your life, Cancer, because you are very intuitive, because you are very emotional, look at the facts of a situation instead of always doing what you feel. Because maybe you're coming to this point, Cancer, where doing what you feel hasn't always served you. Okay? Doing what you feel hasn't always served you. And I mean, look at the facts in your relationship. What has that person done for you versus what they've said? Look at the facts at your job. What have they done for you versus what you've given them, and what, you know, look at the facts. Stop giving a lot of people grace too. You give a lot of grace. Stop giving people grace and like trying to see the best in them. You have enough information by now to know who they really are. Okay. All right. What can you consciously let go of? We got the Sun. Now that was interesting because that's not a card I would expect to see in this position. This is about happiness, joy, fulfillment, and clarity. Okay, now I wanted to clarify that. And we got toil and labor. Now to me, what you can consciously let go of is working so goddamn hard. Feel like you're ready to just kind of go a softer pace, go a little bit, go a little bit more gentler, do things that make you happy and not working yourself to the bone. I wouldn't be surprised if around this eclipse you decide to work less. I wouldn't be surprised if you change roles at your job. I don't really see job change, but I see maybe making changes at work to make you feel a little bit more balanced. Because you're prioritizing your joy, your happiness for once. The Sun also does represent children, so perhaps maybe this is letting go of worrying about your children, which will never happen, but maybe you worry a little less. Maybe you decide, you know what, I can't change them. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I'm going to let this go. But I also think there's a message here about confusion in terms of what you can let go of. You need to embrace, like I said, the facts, the information. And like I said, the Sun does represent clarity. There's going to be clarity revealed to you this full moon that you don't previously have that allows you to say, you know what, fuck you, I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I just feel like you're realizing, Cancer, that you have been investing into something or someone, almost like a piggy bank. You drop a little thing, you drop a little coin, and you think one day, surely my emotional investment will be worth it. And you're realizing, no, actually, I have nothing. It's been disintegrating. This piggy bank was full of fucking acid. It's gone, you know? And now you're realizing, okay, I got to stop doing that. I can't keep investing energy into things that take away from my joy, from my happiness, just so other people feel cared for, you know? So in a way, I feel like maybe you need to be a little bit more selfish. I've told Scorpio they need to be less selfish, and I'm telling you to be more selfish. I hope this is helpful. Let me know in the comments how so. Watch for your moon and your rising as well if you haven't already. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to move on to Gemini. Okay, good news, Gemini. We're getting off the struggle bus. We're getting off the struggle bus, okay? Now, if you saw my prediction for you for September on my TikTok, then I already told you I think y'all are dealing with some housing issues. Now, unsurprisingly, what kind of karmic ancestral pattern is ready to be released? We've got the Tower. Now, traditionally, the Tower represents upheaval, chaos, sudden change. However, I do, as a reader, tend to look at it in relation to a physical building, a home, along with the Four of Wands. But the Tower here is chaos. Like, you're ready to release the chaos. You're ready to release this sudden like whirlwind that you've been in. The building is burning. I feel like number one, we're ready, like the fire is ready to be put out based on your reading here. But this was like to shake you up and to, I think, you're going to hate me for saying this, but this was to test your resilience, honestly. This was to test your resilience and your inner strength. I'm not sitting here to say you'll never go through another tower moment, but I don't think you've ever been through a situation like this before. Okay? And maybe before ancestrally, maybe your partner, maybe your previous ancestors would have folded under the circumstances that you were in, right? But generationally, you are making a change that no, we will have better, we will do better. And you're being pushed to change that and code that resilience in your DNA. You know how we talk about how DNA trauma is passed down through DNA? So can resilience. Okay, clock it. All right, first of all, first one that came out to clarify this was Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. And I was like, okay. All right, I guess if the Geminis watching this feel very humanitarian and feel the need to shake up the world, and we won't talk about Voldemort because I know he's a Gemini. I don't even want to think about him. I don't want to think about him. Oh, did I just wipe off my eyebrow? Okay, but I wanted to clarify again. I was like, oh, give me another one. And of course, I got the crumbling. So emphasis here on buildings, crumbling, letting something fall apart. But I really think this is more about you having gone through the worst, Gemini. I really do. I look at released in terms of what has been released out into the world, but also what is being let go. What are you clinging on to is the message. You see it? Is it focused? Because you got to let it go. You got to let it fall apart. There's something you need to there's something you might have needed to let fall apart. Perhaps some of you, but I also think there's a message here of you persevering through chaos and sudden change. I think that's personally the message. Maybe in doing so, you've had to let some things fall apart. Okay. Now, how you're ready to evolve is the Nine of Wands, perseverance, resilience, not giving up. Now, the Nine of Wands, he's been through a lot. I never really thought about it before, but because this is kind of like an AI deck, but you see how he looks like mildly disheveled? I was like, oh, maybe that's intentional. It's like you've been through so much, your suit ain't even together no more. You're like, do I even want to keep going on this? The Nine of Wands is usually a message to keep going. Okay. And I wanted to know what we're talking about. We've got marriage. Okay. Now, maybe this is like because your relationship has been tested, perhaps. I did say I think there's reconciliation happening for you this month, but marriage also represents contracts and unions. Okay, it's not always romantic, but I think you're choosing to not give up on a relationship, all right? Could be a professional relationship. What must you listen to at this time? Interestingly, we got the sun. The sun does represent clarity, joy, happiness, right? And also children. But I think this is number one, you needing to listen to what makes you happy, listen to what you need more of in your life to feel childlike, to feel pure, to feel giddy. And I wanted to clarify that with an essential oil deck card. And so I got fennel. Grounding word is discern. Trigger statement to release. It is not my fault. Let that go, Gemini. True statement to embrace. I take full responsibility. Shift into your body and listen. Release the emotions you have been storing and move forward. Okay? Lastly, what can you consciously let go of? We've got the Seven of Wands. Love to see that here. The Seven of Wands is boundaries, maintaining control, protecting yourself. Now, I love to see that here, and I was like, okay, well, why is the Seven of Wands here? Toil and labor. It's been a lot of work keeping this building from completely falling the fuck apart. It's been a lot of work, Gemini, but I think you can actually really let that go. I think you can now say, okay, whew, I can rest now. I'm hearing Kendrick Lamar. All my life I had to fight. What song is that? What song is that? I don't even know that song. Spirit just gives it to me, I swear to God. Isn't he a Gemini? He is. I know he is. You know what I'm really upset about? I thought for the longest time Chris Brown was a Sagittarius. I don't know why I thought that. It's all right. Is that a song? hold on, let me like look at sorry, I'll come back to Chris Brown. Hard times, yeah. Bad trips, yeah. Nazareth, I'm fucked up, homie, you fucked up. But if God got us, then we gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. Come on, come on, come on. Y'all should listen to that song. First of all, I barely remember the goddamn song, and I'm like, you should listen to it. Let that be. Whenever I see the Seven of Wands, though, Gemini, I'm so serious. You're really. It may not be glamorous, but you are able to maintain your position. You're not having, because you're persevering. You're not giving up. You somehow put the fire out, and you're somehow able to keep balance. Okay, I hope this is helpful for you, Gemini. If you're watching for your moon and your rising, if you're watching for your sun sign, watch for your moon and your rising as well. I'm going to clear this and I'm going to move on to Taurus. Oh, I was saying, I thought Chris Brown for the longest time was a Sagittarius. I don't know where I got that notion from. He's a Taurus. And now I feel like everything I ever knew about Chris Brown is like completely upside down. And now I'm like, wow, a Taurus this whole time. I guess this makes sense given his rage. But also, I'm kind of like, I need to know his birth chart. I need to know what else is going on there. But I also feel like, oh my God, me and Chris Brown would actually be like a really good match. Oh, let me shut the fuck up. Bye. All right, Taurus, let's lock in, baby. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? Okay. We've got the Chariot here. The Chariot is moving forward, moving on, willpower, determination. Maybe this is ambition in a way. Not that I would ever tell anybody to stop being ambitious. But did I also say it represents a sign of Cancer? Perhaps there is a Cancer, metaphorically, or the zodiac sign, or literally, that you're wanting to release. Now, I look at release in terms of what you're putting out in the world, but also what you're letting go, right? So I wanted to confirm this, and we got deep replenishment, rest, be held, retreat. So maybe there's a need for you to kind of like get away. Or also Taurus, in terms of like ancestral patterns, karmic patterns being released, maybe the way you've always coped with things was like by getting away or taking a trip or needing to kind of like flee home, flee your circumstances. I would expect to see the Seven of Swords here in a circumstance like that, because that's like escapism. But in your mind, you're just like, no, I'm just going to like focus on the next thing and I'm just going to get away and just kind of like clear my head. But maybe it's been like low-key suppression, okay? So maybe you're feeling the need to like no longer suppress things and actually like deal with them. That's one message coming through. Maybe you're stopping the need to always be on the go. That could be the message too, especially because rest, retreat, be held is here. Maybe you just feel like, no, I need to keep going, but the people in your life is like, can you just slow down for like a minute? And maybe that's a trauma response. I read that hyper independence is a trauma response. Not that I'm saying that you're hyper independent, but like the need to like always be doing something, going on to the next thing could be a trauma response because you're afraid of the fear. Remember, our theme is fear. You're afraid of, if I'm not moving forward, then I'm moving back, whatever it is, Taurus. You got to stop that, okay? How are you ready to evolve? We've got the Queen of Wands. Fire sign energy here, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. I also kind of see this in terms of like, instead of chasing something, instead of chasing a check, chasing a career, chasing a man, you're just calling it in. You're just calling it in. You know what? You just say, you know what? I want that. And it comes to you because you're focusing in more on your mindset and your charisma and your ability to attract good things versus feeling like you have to pursue them. Right? We also have gift here. Oh, is it? Yeah, gift. Because for me, I feel like you're attracting a gift. And I think that also kind of like lets you realize, you know what? I don't always have to go for things anymore. I can attract them. I can call them in. I can just bring it to me energetically. Now, That doesn't mean that you're never going to tap into action-oriented nature, but you're just leaning into that a bit more in terms of your evolution so that you can slow down a little bit. There's a difference between a woman feeling like she needs to go to the grocery store every Saturday so that she can meet single men and deciding, say, you know what, I'm going grocery shopping when I'm going grocery shopping, and if I meet somebody, I meet someone, and boom, the Thursday that she decides to go, she meets the single person. You know, it's about attracting versus feeling like you need to be rigid and stick to things and pursue. You know, change the energy, change the vibration to well, we do actually have that here, expectancy versus pursuing. Okay. What must you listen to at this time? Two of Swords. We've got some indecision here, and obviously I wanted to know about what. And we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this to me feels about your work life. There's the decision you need to make around your work life. The Knight of Pentacles also represents Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. So for you, the Knight of Pentacles represents discipline and hard work. Let's get a yes and no on that. What must you listen to at this time? Trust your intuition, number one, regarding a work situation. Now, I'm going to get one of these cards. You decide what yes is. You decide what no is. Pause it here if you need to, but let's see what jumps out. Okay, no. Cracks in your facade. Unsupported. Drying up. Y'all take that how it resonates. I'm going to go ahead and put that away. Look, no again, getting caught, net loss on the tail end of things. Okay. So need to make an important decision around your work life. Okay, trust your intuition around it. And then we have the King of Cups in terms of what can you consciously let go of. The King of Cups does represent the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. It also represents someone who is maybe quite emotional. Now, in the upright position, the King of Cups is very compassionate, very understanding, very protective of their family. In the reverse position, maybe sensitive, maybe lashes out, maybe uncontrolled emotions. Now, I don't use reversals in this deck, but for me, this would be maybe somebody who's quite emotional that you want to let go of, or a water sign. Now, for me, I wanted to clarify. I'm like, tell me more, Spirit. We've got expectation. Now, to me, this would be somebody you've been waiting on. Somebody you've been waiting on to get their act together, somebody you've been waiting to go to therapy, somebody that you've been like just trying to connect with and be patient with, but I feel like you're kind of done waiting. You're like, you know what? I'm done waiting on you to get your shit together, and I've been riding with you for however long. I can't keep waiting on you. You know? I can't keep waiting on you. Eventually you have to help yourself. Which is powerful because Taurus, you're quite patient. You're quite patient. Okay. So we're releasing someone. If I were to say this were you, which I don't think it is, this would be to consciously let go of someone else's expectations of you emotionally. Maybe they are expecting you to hold more emotional space for them than you are. That feels like a reach, but I'm putting that out there. I hope this is helpful for you, Taurus. If you're watching for your sun sign, watch for your moon and your rising as well. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Aries. All right, my love. Now, I just had a session this morning with a client who's in Aries. So because I'm acutely aware of what's going on in her life, I feel like this reading is a little bit easier for me to interpret, especially because when I did my forecast for Aries, if you haven't already watched it, go to my membership and watch it. Huge, major transformational month for you guys. Like, a little crazy. All right, let me not wipe off my damn eyebrow. What kind of karmic or ancestral pattern is ready to be released? The Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles represents hardship, abandonment, neglect, feeling left out in the cold. So I think the feeling for you of feeling abandoned or feeling stressed or feeling isolated even is coming to an end for you, or just really going through hardship in general. We have Imrama. What are you being called to journey to? I also think it's interesting too that she's kind of on this like cold little road. You're ready to release this journey you've been on. It hasn't been fulfilling. You haven't found any food, no signs of wildlife. You've been trying to, survive off of berries. You can't live on this path anymore. You gotta go. You gotta go, Aries. Ready to release this. Okay. How are you ready to evolve? Five of Swords. Okay. Five of Swords here. Winning at all costs, doing what you need to do to get ahead. The Five of Swords also represents conflict. And you guys know here I love to look at this card as winning at all costs, in a way, perseverance. But I do feel that this is about conflict because we have main male here. Okay, in terms of how you're ready to evolve. I'm almost looking at this kind of like the Seven of Wands. You're ready to fight for what you believe. You're ready to stand your ground in relation to another person. Like, you're not going down without a fight. You've been through too much. You've been through too much. You're not going to let this person take everything from you. Which brings me to what you must listen to at this time, Nine of Swords. Anxiety, fear, insomnia. Okay, what is the theme of this full moon? Fear and facing it. Okay, we've got Nine of Swords. Now, why would you listen to your fear, right? That's not really the message here. The message is like being aware of the fear and being aware of the inner dialogue and how can we heal it, right? So we've got change here. Not willing to change, a bit able to rise above conflict, better and brighter days. For me, this for you is releasing this energy, releasing this anxious energy and embracing change. And also becoming aware of who you've become through this process. Who you've become stressed the fuck out because this journey that you've been on, babe. And you're like, I can't live like this anymore. This isn't even like sustainable. And so now you realize I gotta change. There's gotta be a change. Which brings me to what you can consciously let go of. We've got the Four of Wands, domestic harmony, unions. The Four of Wands is definitely community, but it's also like celebration as well. Think like weddings, graduations, things like that. Like celebrations, but usually with friends and family. Okay, like big events. So in terms of what you can let go of, I wouldn't be surprised if some engagements get called off this full moon, but for me this is more about the union. Like, I definitely feel like we're on a breakup here. This feels very breakup to me. And Aries, even if things are going super well in your love life, this could relate to another area of your life, perhaps professionally. There is a relationship that you have been on that has been very difficult, very hard, and now you're just like, I can't do this anymore. You've reached, this full moon is causing you to realize that you've reached your breaking point. You've reached your breaking point and you got to make a change. I do feel that this is in your household. This is affecting the household. I'm not really sitting here saying that, I mean, everybody's situation is going to be unique, because I hate to claim divorce on all Aries everywhere. But there is, for me, a need to create space and distance from somebody that you've been romantically involved with. Like I said, it could be professional, it could be familial. But you need some space because it's just not working right now. It's not working. I hope that's helpful. If anything else, I hope it's comforting to know that you're not crazy and that like this is the collective Aries energy, that you just need to get some space, work on yourself, choose a new path, and not go down without a fight. Like, don't let somebody just, especially if somebody's like abusing you or like instilling fear in you, threatening you, they don't know who they playing with, because you're an Aries. They don't know who they playing with, and you will knuck if you buck, you know. So don't let nobody try you, right? Aries, I love you so much. I hope this is helpful. If you would like, watch for your moon and your rising as well to get a 360 view of what you can expect for your full moon. I really do hope this is helpful. If anything, I hope this makes you just feel validated, if nothing else. But I also really hope that you get the help that you need, whether with me or with a therapist or with friends. Just lean into your community. Okay, I love you so much. Bye, Aries. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please binge my other content. Subscribe if you're not already. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join my Lightkeepers. It's a growing community. I create my monthly forecast exclusively for them, and you'll find all of those monthly forecasts there. They're released to my regular subscribers the month afterwards, but if you want it when it's relevant, not in hindsight, join my membership. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram if you're not already. I try to post different content on all platforms, so if you want more of me, all of the links are below. Bye.